Opening. Ever wonder how important wisdom really is, or what could possibly happen if we choose to reject it? Imagine, if you will, wisdom personified. A figure unseen but present, calling out in the bustling streets, her voice echoing in the public squares. A voice, rich with knowledge and experience, offering guidance to anyone who would listen. She stands at the head of the noisy streets, her voice rising above the cacophony, seeking attention, seeking an audience. She cries out, questioning the simple ones. How long will you love your simple ways? She challenges the mockers. How long will you delight in mockery? And to the fools she asks, why do you hate knowledge? Her voice is not a whisper, but a call, a plea. She wants to pour out her spirit, to share her words, to teach, but her call is often met with indifference. She stretches out her hand, yet no one pays attention. Her advice is disregarded, her rebuke unaccepted. But wisdom is not easily deterred. She persists, she continues to call out, to stretch out her hand. She offers her teachings freely, her advice generously. She seeks not to chastise, but to guide, to enlighten. Yet her call is not always welcomed. Some choose to ignore her, to dismiss her words. They reject her advice, spurn her rebuke. They love their simple ways, they delight in their mockery, they hate knowledge. And wisdom, in her infinite patience, continues to call out, continues to offer her teachings. For wisdom knows the danger of ignorance, the peril of rejecting her call. She knows what happens when her teachings are ignored, when her advice is dismissed, when her rebuke is spurned. She knows the storm that awaits those who reject her, the calamity that befalls those who ignore her. Closing. Imagine wisdom, standing at the city gates, offering her guidance freely. Yet many choose to ignore her. But what happens when we ignore wisdom? So, you've decided to ignore wisdom's call. Now what? Well, let's envision this scenario. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a storm, the sky darkening, the wind picking up. You see the clouds rolling in, feel the chill in the air, hear the distant rumble of thunder. Yet you choose to step forward, walking right into the heart of the tempest, leaving your umbrella, your shelter behind. That's what it's like when you choose to ignore wisdom. Ignoring wisdom is like willingly stepping into a whirlwind of calamity, distress, and trouble. You reject the umbrella of knowledge and choose to face the storm unprepared. And when the rain starts pouring, the wind howling, and the lightning flashing, you find yourself soaked, cold, and lost. It's not just about getting drenched in the rain. It's about the aftermath, the damage caused by the storm. The consequences of ignoring wisdom are harsh, much like the destruction left behind by a whirlwind. The wreckage isn't just physical, it's emotional, financial, and sometimes even spiritual. Those who disregard wisdom find themselves swept up in disaster, their lives turned upside down. They're left to pick up the pieces, to navigate the aftermath of the storm, often without the tools or knowledge to do so effectively. And then, when calamity has overtaken them, when the storm has passed and they're left standing in the ruins, they look for wisdom. They call out for it, search for it in the rubble, but find it elusive. Because wisdom isn't something you can summon at will. It's a lifelong pursuit, a constant journey. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's a silver lining, a lesson to be learned. The storm, the whirlwind, they're not punishments, but reminders. They're reminders of the importance of wisdom, of the need to heed its call, to embrace it, and let it guide you on your journey. Ignoring wisdom is like walking into a storm, unprepared. It's a choice that has dire consequences. So, the next time wisdom calls, will you answer? Or will you choose to step into the storm once again? The choice is yours. But what happens when those who rejected wisdom finally realize its importance? Imagine being in a storm, a whirlwind of calamity and distress. You've ignored the advice and warnings that could have steered you clear of this debacle. Now, in the midst of the chaos, you desperately reach out for wisdom. But alas, wisdom isn't a tool in your shed that you can just pick up when things go wrong. It isn't a magic potion that you can drink to instantly solve your problems. Wisdom is like a seed. It must be planted, nurtured, and given time to grow. You can't just plant a seed and expect a tree to spring up overnight. Similarly, wisdom isn't something you can gain at the snap of your fingers. If you've spent your whole life ignoring wisdom, you can't expect it to come running to your aid in times of trouble. It's like trying to learn how to swim while you're already drowning. You've disregarded the opportunity to learn when the waters were calm, and now, when the waves are crashing around you, it's too late. The time to learn how to swim is not when you're fighting for your life in the water, but when you're safe on the shore. And so, The search for wisdom after disaster strikes is often futile. Wisdom isn't a lost item that you can find lying around. It's a treasure that needs to be sought after, a journey that needs to be embarked upon. If you've spent your life ignoring wisdom, don't be surprised when it doesn't come to your rescue when you need it the most. The truth is, wisdom, once rejected, is not easy to regain. It's not a one-time deal, but a lifelong pursuit. It's not a destination, but a journey. It's not a resource, but a companion. And so, we must make the choice to walk with wisdom, to learn from it, to embrace it. Because wisdom isn't a resource we can just pick up when things go wrong. It's a lifelong companion that we must choose to walk with. So, what's the real cost of rejecting wisdom? Well, let's delve deeper into this question. Imagine life as an orchard. When you reject wisdom, it's like planting seeds of poor choices, impulsiveness, and short-sightedness in your orchard. Over time, these seeds grow into trees that bear the fruit of your actions. This is what it means to eat the fruit of their ways. You see, the fruit of rejecting wisdom isn't sweet. It's bitter, filled with the consequences of your actions. It's the missed opportunities because you didn't listen to advice. It's the failed relationships because you didn't value patience and understanding. It's the unfulfilled potential because you didn't appreciate the value of hard work and perseverance. Then there's the second part, being filled with the fruit of their schemes. This is where the cost of rejecting wisdom gets even steeper. The fruit of their schemes represents the outcomes of the plans and decisions made without wisdom. This fruit is no less bitter. It's the failed business because you didn't consider the risks. It's the lost trust because you didn't think of the consequences. It's the broken dreams because you didn't plan well. Rejecting wisdom isn't a one-time act. It's a continuous process, a path that you choose to walk on. Every step on this path, every decision made without wisdom, plants another seed in your orchard. And with time, you find yourself in an orchard filled with bitter fruit, the fruit of your ways and your schemes. But here's the thing, you're the gardener of your orchard. You have the power to decide what seeds you plant, what trees you nurture. You can choose to plant seeds of wisdom, of thoughtful decisions, of patience, and of understanding. And when these trees bear fruit, they'll be sweet, filled with success, happiness, and fulfillment. Rejecting wisdom doesn't just lead to temporary hardship. It's a recipe for a life of regrets and missed opportunities. But remember, it's never too late to start planting the right seeds. Enough of the doom and gloom. What if we choose to embrace wisdom instead? Imagine a life where you navigate through the world with confidence, where decisions are informed by a deep understanding and foresight. This is the life that awaits those who choose to embrace wisdom. You see, wisdom isn't just about knowing things, it's about discerning the truth, understanding the consequences of our actions, and making choices that lead to genuine fulfillment. It's about seeing the big picture, the interconnectedness of all things, and how our actions ripple out into the world. When we embrace wisdom, we are rewarded with a sense of safety. This doesn't mean we'll never face challenges or difficulties. However, it does mean that we're equipped to handle them, to navigate through them with grace and resilience. We become less reactive, less prone to panic or despair, and more capable of maintaining our equilibrium even in the face of adversity. Embracing wisdom also brings a sense of ease. Life doesn't feel like a constant struggle against the current. Instead, we learn to flow with it, to adapt, to change course when necessary, and to accept what we cannot change. We learn to distinguish between what is in our control and what is not, and we invest our energy wisely. Freedom from harm is another reward that comes with wisdom. This doesn't mean we become invincible or immune to pain. Rather, it means we avoid unnecessary harm caused by poor decisions or impulsive actions. We learn to take care of ourselves and others, to cultivate healthy relationships, and to contribute positively to our community. So think about it. Isn't a life of peace, security, and fulfillment worth striving for? Isn't it worth the effort to seek wisdom, to listen when it calls, and to heed its advice? Embracing wisdom isn't just about avoiding disaster. It's about creating a life of peace, security, and fulfillment.